Welcome to Chapter 3, Section 1. Our objective for Section 1 is to learn to write solutions of equations in two variables as ordered pairs. And our question, how do I write an ordered pair? Our main vocabulary term would be ordered pair. Definition is that it is a pair of numbers that can be used to locate a point on a coordinate plane. The way we write it is parentheses x comma y. It's always in that order, and you could remember that by thinking of the alphabet, that x comes first in the alphabet, so x is always first in the parentheses. Our first order of business is to determine whether each ordered pair is a solution of y equals 4x minus 1. Remember that when you have ordered pairs, as we just talked about, x is always the first value and y is the second value. It's not a bad idea to label those so that you don't forget which one's which. So when we go to check this, we're substituting both x and y into the equation that they give us. We've already done things similar to this, but we've never had to substitute more than one variable. So be very careful that you substitute them into the correct place. It might even be helpful to draw arrows. X is 3. That's going to go in place of the x that's multiplied by 4. 11 is y, and that's going to just go in place of y. So when we substitute those in, it looks like this. 11 equals 4 times 3 minus 1. So we continue simplifying whatever we can, which would be the 4 times 3 and then minus 1, and we get 11 on both sides. What that means is that the ordered pair 3, 11 is a solution of this equation. It means that both sides are balanced when we plug in 3 and 11. Okay, let's check another one. We already have them labeled x and y, so 10 would be x, y would be 3. We're using the same equation, y equals 4x minus 1. Think about where these values are going to go. 10 in place of x, 3 in place of y. So now we have 3 equals 4 times 10 minus 1. We continue on the right side, taking 4 times 10 to get 40, and 40 minus 1 to get 39. These two sides are not equal, so we would say that the ordered pair 10, 3 is not a solution. Another thing we can do with ordered pairs is we can make a table. It says use the given values to make a table of solutions. Our equation is y equals x plus 3. For x equals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's the equation that we're using. These are the x values that we would like to find out the solution for. So in the table, you can see we've started by listing the x values 1, 2, 3, 4 in order. The next step is to add 3 to each x value because that's what the equation tells us to do. Once we do that, we get our answer. In this case, it is 4. And our last column is just to rewrite columns 1 and 2. So we're taking x and y and rewriting them in that third column. So we would get 1 comma 4. If we went through the column x plus 3, we would use 2 now. 2 plus 3 is 5, 2 comma 5. 3 plus 3 is 6, 3, 6. 4 plus 3 is 7, 4, 7. You'll notice the pattern in this one, that's not always the case. But when we have the x values counting up by the same amount each time, our y values should do the same. Let's try another one. Our expression has changed a little bit. Now it's y equals x plus 6. We're still using 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we're replacing, instead of x plus 3, we're doing x plus 6. So 1 plus 6 is 7, 1 comma 7. 2 plus 6 is 8, 2 comma 8. 3 plus 6 is 9, 3 comma 9. 4 plus 6 is 10, 4 comma 10. Eventually, we will have to make graphs with these values, which is why it's nice to write them as ordered pairs. Let's look at a couple of examples with word problems. A salesman marks up the price of everything he sells by 20%. The equation for the sales price P is P equals 1.2W, where W is wholesale cost. Let's talk about a couple things first. A markup. A markup means that when a person that's selling an item buys it originally, they pay a set price. In order for that salesperson to make any money, they need to charge the consumer more than they paid. So this salesman is charging 20% more for the product to the consumer than for what he paid. Wholesale cost is the price that the salesman pays to buy it right from the company. So the equation is given to us, P equals 1.2W. That includes the 20%. Here's where that really comes from. You have 100% of the cost, which would be the original wholesale cost. We don't have the price for that, but it's 100% of the wholesale cost, plus 20% more, which is 120%. So if I want to take 120% of a cost, I need to multiply 1.2. That's dividing 120% by 100 using the decimal times the wholesale cost. That will give me the 100% that I paid for it and the 20% more that I'm charging. So we already have the equation. So we have a question that goes with this. What will be the sales price of a sweater with a wholesale cost of $48? Well, if W is the wholesale cost, then what 48 really represents is W. So we simply have to plug that into the equation, multiply 1.2 times 48, we get $57.60. So if we wanted to put this as an ordered pair, our X value is not X because we use different variables, but it still is the input number. It's the number we plugged into the equation, and the answer we got out of it was $57.60. So as an ordered pair, we could write this as 48, 57.6. Let's finish up with one more word problem. The company that makes team uniforms for a soccer league charges a $20 fee for team artwork and $10 for each jersey. Dominic's team has 14 players and Alyssa's team has 12 players. Find the cost for a set of jerseys for each team. Because we're dealing with two different amounts of players, let's set up a generic equation first. So we'll pick some variables. Let's let Y be the total cost of a set of jerseys and X be the number of jerseys needed. The total cost of the jerseys equals $20 plus $10 times the number of jerseys, because you have to pay $20 no matter what, and it's $10 per jersey. Putting that into symbols, Y equals 20 plus 10 times X. So Dominic's team has 14 players. So if we put 14 in for X, take 14 times 10 because of order of operations, we multiply first, and then add 20 to that. Dominic's team would cost $160. Alyssa's team has 12 players. So we multiply 12 times 10, get 120, plus 20 is 140. We can use an ordered pair to show our solutions in case we did want to graph this information. So the ordered pair would be the input value. For Dominic's team, that was 14, and 160 was the output. For Alyssa's team, 12 was the input, and 140 was the output. Those are both writing them as solutions. Make sure your notes are filled out completely. On the left-hand side, write questions that could be answered from the material in your notes. Review your notes, highlight, underline, etc. Complete the summary before class.